Hi all, in this short video we will be demonstrating the ease of integrating SKU forecasting process as part of the supply-demand planning in using SnapLogic. I'm Gotem Mirchevsky, SnapLogic integration consultant at Interworks. I have with me my colleague Jovan Jovanovski, who will be demonstrating and guiding through the implementation process. Interworks is a trustworthy integration consultancy that enables global growth-oriented companies to execute efficiently. We optimize the processes and human capital for our customers and empower them to consistently outsmart their competition. We are implementation and training partners of SnapLogic since 2015. Jovan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gotem. Hi all. What you see here is the high-level architecture of the business process. So we have a company that has physical stores that require replenishing of their products. Each store uses order management system to write the order sales data in a database. That data is then used for further analysis and also inventory forecasting. What we see in the diagram here is we have a scheduled process that takes the order history data for a specified time periods. We then take that order history data and select only the active entities. By active entities, we are referring to active stores, active SKUs, product classes, and etc. The next step is to fill in missing data. So missing data can occur, for example, when the store is renovating, or the store is upgrading. We then group the data by store and SKU and we calculate the SKU forecast. The result that we get from the calculation of the SKU forecast, we are sending it to update the inventory, which will then trigger the inventory replenishment process. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump into the demo. The first thing that we need to do is create a project. So by going inside of the manager, we can create a project. And in this case, we are naming it supply chain. Once we have created the project, we can go inside of the designer and start with the development of the pipeline. The first snap that we are using is the pipeline execute snap, which is used to call child pipelines. So as you recall from the diagram, our first step is to read the time periods. So we will use this pipeline, we'll set the label to read time periods, and we will also define the name of the pipeline. At this point the pipeline is not created, but we will do that very shortly. Once we save the configuration for this snap, we are going to name the actual pipeline. So this would be the main pipeline in which we will be calling all those sub-processes or child pipelines. The next step, we are creating an XML file format. This is chosen in our demo, but in reality this could be anything. So we can create a JSON target, we can create CSV. The data can be sent through a RESTful API. We can send it to Workday, Salesforce, any other system can be.
So this is basically the last step where we're generating the report that will need to be sent to the inventory replenishment system in order to trigger the inventory replenishment to the stores.
Yes.
Yeah.
So using the XML generator, we are going to make the configurations, specify the XML template, and this is the XML template that we will be using. So we are sending quantities, SKU numbers, store, and creation date.
And these variables, what I see here is it's something that is coming from the previous snap. It's dynamic data.
Yes. So these values that are inside of the XML tags are basically dynamic values that are provided from the downstream snaps. And also this whole structure is dynamic. As you can see, we have a for each statement in the template, which will basically create the dynamic structure for as much as requests as we have.
Yeah, so it will dynamically generate this whole report. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that's correct. So once we configure the template, we can specify the label of the snap, just so it will be easier for us to know what we are doing. And then we need to send that XML. In our case, the target system is a file-based system, so we use the file writer to send the data forward. But actually, the file writer is a generic snap that can send to any other target system. So we can use an FTP-based location, or Google Storage, or S3 bucket, or whatever.
Yeah, so this is basically generic snap that can write on any location based on the protocol that we specify in the snap.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
So at this point, basically, that's as much as we are going to develop. And if we go back to the pipeline step on the left-hand side, we can see all the pipelines that we have created until this point. So we can go back and forth and see what we have developed and if we need to change anything or else. And also, going inside of the Manager tab, we can also find all the assets that are related to the project that we are building. So over here, we can also find all the pipelines that we have created for that project. At this point, now we're going to execute the pipeline, and once the pipeline executes successfully, all the snaps will light green. And if there is some error inside of the pipeline, then the snap which caused the error will light red. And that would be very easy for us to detect where the issue is coming from, and we can focus specifically on that snap to resolve the issue. So that's basically really easy for us to debug the pipeline and very quickly resolve the issues if there are any. So in this case, this was a manual execution. So inside of the designer, we have triggered the pipeline. It has executed successfully. But what are the other options that SnapLogic offers for the integrations to be triggered? So there is a feature which is called creating a task. So we can basically create a task, and there are multiple options by which we can create a task. So there is the trigger, the schedule, and the ultra option. So the trigger would be basically to expose the pipeline as REST API, which can then be called from any REST client like Postman. The schedule option is that we can schedule the pipeline to run on some time periods that could be basically any frequency that we need. It could be daily basis, monthly, or weekly. And then the ultra is a more powerful option that SnapLogic offers that we will not be covering very much in this video.
Yeah, so it's something like a high availability and low latency exposed task that is meant for high performance and sub-second executions.
Yes, that's correct. So now this execution, as we saw, this was a successful execution, but if we need to look into more details for this particular execution, then we can use the dashboard tab. And inside of the dashboard tab, we can look into details for the specific pipeline execution. So we can have a look at the duration of the pipeline, the amount of documents that have been processed, the time started. And additionally, we can look at that information for all the child pipelines that were executed from the main pipeline.
And of course, if we click on the sub-pipelines, we will show a diagram that will explain the execution of each snap. So basically, we will know which snaps takes more time to complete, and make some adjustment and performance if there are any, to optimize the flow even better.
Yes. So if we need to improve the performance of the pipeline, this is the very helpful feature that we can use from SnapLogic. So This is basically it from the demonstration, and if we go back to the diagram, we can see how from an idea we came to realization in short period of time. So we started from the diagram and built the pipelines step by step, taking raw data from the database, applying all the transformations and calculations to the data in fairly straightforward fashion, and sending the final forecasted result to the inventory replenishment process. This was made possible by having the large collection of snaps available, the iris assistant, and all the other features that SnapLogic offers. Hope you will find this video helpful for you and your colleagues. If you're interested in more details, feel free to contact us on sales@interworks.com.mk or snaplogic@snaplogic.com. Thanks for your time and have a good day.